When I first bought my duplex, I was like, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to furnish it? Just know that he does not give you more that you can chew.
Houston is a destination city. You have all kinds of people that come to Houston and make Houston home. But 4 out of 5 people in Houston aren't from Houston. Even in the process of building them, how relationships are so important.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are driven by costs. How much does this cost? Make it as cheap as possible, when no, that's the wrong way to look at things.
Yeah.
Because when you look to find the cheapest people working for you, you're going to get burned. You're going to get people that aren't experienced. When you really think about it and get to that point, you want those protections in place, because $10,000 today, 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, whenever your time comes, is going to be nothing compared to the gravity of what a $400,000 or $500,000 duplex is today. What is it going to be 20, 30, 40 years from now?
She ever wants says you begging on the knees to be popular. That's a dream to be popular. Kill anyone to be popular.
All right, y'all, welcome to another episode of the Blueprint Podcast. Today, we have a special collaboration with Grace Building Company. We have Gilbert Apawanku in the house. This is Houston Duplex on Instagram. If you are interested in duplexes in Houston, you should be following this guy. A lot of you already do. We had an episode last year, and the YouTube algorithm picked it up, and we've been getting a lot of traction. And so we're like, hey, we should continue that conversation about Houston duplexes and whether you should build, buy, all the things, all the questions you have. We're going to uncover every rock and deep dive into Houston duplexes. So thanks for coming on again, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun last November. We had a good time then and had a good, audience and just good response from it. So we always want to kind of continue this momentum.
Yeah.
And I think it was important this time around. I always like to highlight different tips and different things you can do in your duplexes. But I think we need to take the conversation into, okay, now you own the duplex. Now what's the reality? So I thought, what better time than now to actually start introducing people to folks that actually purchased Grace Building duplexes in the past.
Absolutely.
So that's why we have the special guest, Miss Ayanna, here today. Ayanna is a serious leader, and just, to be as young as she is, I was really impressed the first time I met her when, she had the idea to buy rental property. We sat down and we interviewed her then, and she really gave her thinking about it, and I was like, this is a really sharp lady, and it made a lot of sense once I figured out she was getting an MBA from Rice.
Yeah.
Like,
there you go, the Rice connection. Okay.
So, she's a pretty sharp woman, so wanted to just bring her so she can give her unique perspective. I think she's been owning a duplex now for several years, so just wanted to bring her on and give her, spotlight her so she can tell you the realities of ownership.
Yeah, amazing. And we got another Ashley will be joining us here in a little bit, and she's also going to be adding her perspective. She's also one of your previous clients. So, Ayanna, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, tell us a little bit of your background, and then go into kind of why you wanted to buy a duplex and what your experience was working with Gilbert and what it's been since then.
Of course, yeah. So my name is Ayanna. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. I graduated from the University of Kentucky with a dual degree in accounting and finance, minor in international business. And right out of undergrad, I got a job offer with Accenture, large major consulting firm out here, and I just packed up, and my grandparents drove me out here, and I've been here ever since. That was back in 2017, and since then, my day job is I am a automation lead as well as an AI consultant, but what we're primarily here to talk about is my real estate small business. So I bought a duplex back in, I'd say, it was either 2020 or 2021. Worked with Grace Building to actually develop it, and it took me about 11 months to actually find one because it was during COVID, and I'm actually very fortunate that I bought it during that time. But working with Gilbert's been really great, and I'm excited to talk about my experience since then.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool, Ayanna. I know you mentioned you bought your duplex like 2020 or 2021, and you mentioned that you were lucky you bought it during COVID. I'm going to take an educated guess and say maybe it's because you have an attractive interest rate probably compared to what's available now. So I think it's important to add that context to this conversation too.
Yes. My interest rate and also my credit score at that time was really good. And so the interest rate that I have on my duplex is a 2.75.
Crazy work.
You will never see that again, so you'll never, ever see me refinance. But just to give you guys a little bit more context on why it was so low, it was because at the time, because of COVID and uncertainty with the economy, the market or the demand for properties was really low, and there was a large inventory. And so sellers were really motivated to sell the property. Banks were trying to get those loans signed so that they could have an stream of income. And it's my interest rate is great. I'd say my mortgages started out around $1,800, but since it was a new construction, you know, after a couple years, those property taxes hit, and it's gone up a few $100s. But it's more than affordable. The duplex, each side has 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2 floors, kitchen, living room, desk area, and a small backyard, and two parking spots out in front of each of them. And so I'm thankful that I bought that during COVID. Also bought a car during COVID, so you know it was paid off at the time. So it really did.
Worked
Yeah.
out.
Yes.
Timing is awesome. So tell us, Ayanna, now hindsight is always 2020, right? You bought the duplex 5-6 years ago. You've been operating it now for 5-6 years into a 30-year note. So you know you're like what, almost 20% into paying down your loan. Is or has owning a duplex been what you thought it would be today?
So what I'll say is I did not know it would take this much work to continue to have it rent ready, be prepared in times when you have vacancies, as well as how to prepare when you have tenants who don't take care of your property.
Facts.
I did not have that insight. All I knew when I bought that duplex was that I was sick of paying rent and I did not want to pay a mortgage. And that goal has been met outside of maybe 4 or 5 months in the 5-year span. You know, it's allowed me to save money financially and, you know, put myself in a better position for the future and any other investments. But I did not know it would take this much work for just one unit.
Absolutely. So you're bringing up the whole property management aspect of it, and I think that's an important part that we'll touch on even more in this interview and even later, is that when you become a real estate investor, especially early on, you're going to wear multiple hats, right? If you don't take on the role of managing your property and you have to outsource it, that's going to come at a cost. And then not only that, just because you hire a property manager doesn't mean it's going to be a good property manager. I have experience with that myself even, you know, outsourcing property management and not having a good experience. I think that's great, though, that you actually took the property management side of it on, because it gives you, as a first-time investor, a realistic look at like what you're looking at from, you know, from a certain view. So let's talk a little bit about like tenants, like finding tenants. Like, how do you find your tenants, and has that changed from when you first started?
Yes. So what I'll say is I started out on Airbnb, short-term rentals. I furnished the entire property. And over time, I really got overwhelmed or just kind of sick of cleaning it every time or doing that turnover. And so I transitioned over to long-term renters for about 2 to 3 years. And my first renters, they brought roaches in there.
Oh, whoa.
They
that's
did
never
not
good.
take care of my property. I had to essentially refurnish it when they left.
Yeah, they
and
destroyed
the
everything.
tools that I use to find my renters, I use Furnish Finders, which is typically and ideally used for travel nurses. And when you think of a travel nurse, when you think of what kind of renter that person is, there's someone who's barely home. They're in and out. They take care of your property. They clean if needed. And, you know, that was the ideal tenant that I was looking for. However, a goal of mine is to also, you know, kind of work with people who can't truly have 3 times the rent. You know,
Facts.
that's something
that's a big part of it too.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
very
the service
important
side
to
of
me.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
because, you know, it's not a lot of people who can do that. However, that does not mean that you should not be allowed to live in a quality home.
Absolutely.
Yes, and so that's how I found a couple of my renters. Here recently, I've got off Furnish Finders because based off of where I placed the location, I haven't gotten the best slew of tenants. And so currently it's back on Airbnb. I've been doing that since about February, and it's been great. I found someone. Gilbert actually referred me to someone who can turn it over and clean it. He's
Absolutely.
awesome. His name is Kevin. If you want his information, please reach out to
Oh
Gilbert.
yeah,
He's
Kevin.
awesome.
Kevin is a good dude, local business owner too. So we always love to, you know, keep local people with money coming in and out. Right, circulation is really important, especially now in tough economic times. Kevin still does some of our cleanings as well.
right.
So, yeah.
And to answer the question, hindsight on tenant screening, one, you have to pay attention to how many people will actually be in the house and what age they are. So interpret that as you want.
Yeah.
Great point.
Also, when it comes to tenant rights, I don't want any tenant to think that they can sit in my property and not pay rent. Although I know there's a lot of people doing that in the world right now. So the way that I do leasing is I do it through Airbnb or I do it through Verbo. You're on a 30-day lease. And so day 20 of that first month, I say, hey, do you want to extend? Yes, I'll extend the dates at that extra expense. I'll repeat that over and over again. And then let's say 3 months in, they're like, hey, we want to leave. I don't extend the dates, and you don't get anything.
So on the long terms, so you don't sign with the traditional Trek lease agreement. So yours is strictly through the short term booking platforms. Right. Okay, what about the fees you have to pay to those platforms? Like, what are your?
So a way that I do it, you typically have to pay extra fees on that first stay. Mm-hmm. And so what I do is whatever amount they pay over the rent that I have set, I just take it off of their next month's rent. So that is a cost that I eat myself, and I don't really pass that down to my tenants because, one, how they might be not sure what Airbnb is or what Verbo is, so they might be a little hesitant. But for me to, kind of extend some good faith with them, I always make sure that, that's a cost that I eat.
Okay. And then question, if you're comfortable sharing, do you still own or occupy your units, or are you fully leasing them out?
Yes, I do. Me and my sister, we live together, but unfortunately, she just got a house, so she's moving out. So,
oh no.
Yes, I do.
That's good for her though. Congrats
yes,
to your
I'm
sister.
so proud of her.
That's huge. That's good stuff. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned you only rent through the platform for 30 days. It's interesting in Texas. There's a certain amount of days where tenants get rights. I think it's after the 28th day. So once a tenant's lease is beyond 28 days, they have renter's rights. So in other words, to get them out, if it came to the point where they were refusing to leave and refusing to pay, you have to do it through an eviction process. So, obviously Texas tends to be a little bit more landlord friendly, but even with that, we've had cases, especially during COVID, where we had some tenants that didn't pay that stayed beyond 3, 4, 5, 6 months during the moratorium. And you can only imagine, what that does to your reserves as an owner. So I think it's important for you to also talk about, even with it being a new duplex, the expenses that you have, in between tenant stays or just maintenance requests. How do you handle tenants you get a call in the middle of the night and you're right next door? I don't know if they know it's you or not, or if you like to just keep that.
That's a good question.
Keep that. I know some people don't like to reveal that they're the owner, but how do you handle tenant requests for maintenance issues, especially the weekends and the late nights? I've been a landlord for over 13 years now, and a lot of times the expectation is, hey, this needs to get done right now. I just had an issue this past Sunday where a tenant had some leak, and their expectation is that, hey, I need someone to come in the next hour to fix it. So talk about the expenses, and then also what kind of process, how do you manage the tenant expectations and repairs, maintenance?
Yeah, so when it comes to repairs and maintenance, the expenses that I've experienced, of course, are, buying furniture. I have a home warranty, and, of course, lawn maintenance. And the way that I handle repairs, I as soon as they respond, I typically respond immediately. I haven't really got any late night requests, thankfully, in these past 5 years. But what I'll say is I communicate to them, say, hey, I've reached out to the home warranty. I've requested them to come out. They'll come out in the next 72 hours. And when it comes to when it's a short-term stay, the chances of it getting fixed during that stay are very low. But I kind of, hey, you can get a $50 refund for your inconvenience, or whatever the case may be. I can bring over some waters or food, whatever the case may be. And then when it comes to those long-term tenants, that's just something that they should understand with having a house. I make sure to just communicate as effectively as possible, and I set those expectations in the beginning whenever we run into an issue in the beginning.
And then on that other piece where you talked about, do you let them know that you're you're next door?
No, I typically do not. And these locks,
I recommend that.
Yes,
that
these locks are. I've been growing them for about 5 years, so I have an old picture on the website, so I don't look anything like what I looked like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But like for those long-term tenants though that, you know, have been there 9, 10 plus months and we've run into issues, sometimes they do find out, but like I say 80% of the time I keep that under wraps.
Yeah, I remember the first duplex I bought, I was living next door house hacking, and I did property management because I just wanted that peace of mind. Because
absolutely.
I know you hope nothing negative happens, but I was always a little bit weary of that. So hindsight 2020, I think I still would have property managed it myself. But I think at the time I just needed that assurance. I needed to get that under my belt. And now I'm looking at, I kind of know how I would handle situations in the future. So another thing I wanted to ask you about is, when we're talking about like safety and, you being a single woman, obviously living with your sister, but how have you managed that aspect of it, of, potentially having any conflict in, I think your duplex is in Sunnyside, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's historically had stigmas that, sometimes there's validity to those, sometimes there's not. So there's been concern with that for folks. And there being, crime or people walking around. How have you kind of managed some of those?
Well, I will say 3 things. Cameras, also known as a ring.
Facts.
Any notification I get, I check it. Mm-hmm. 2, I'm a 10-year veteran. So
make of that what you will.
Okay, I know exactly. All right.
Make of that what
so,
you will.
Safety's important.
Yeah.
I haven't ran into a lot of issues with crime, thankfully.
Okay.
Ayana is forgetting one important piece that I tell everyone, and they think I'm just giving them fluff. The gates.
The gates.
Yeah. Ayana's duplex came with a gate day one.
Okay.
I don't know if yours is solar or electric. Was yours solar?
Solar.
Yours is solar, so it doesn't create any, fluctuation on her bill. And then I tell people all the time, especially in the transitioning neighborhoods, it's a reality, right? So that's one of the things. When you're a real estate investor, it's your asset really isn't the physical structure, it's the people, right? It's your tenants, whether they're short or long term. And having these gates, it just gives them that extra sense of security. And then it provides a barrier. Let's be realistic. That's what it does as well.
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Ashley, how are you? Yep. So absolutely. Hey, Ashley, I have a gift for you. Here's a gift from me to you. Folks, Ashley just walked in. Ashley is actually the original Grace Building Company duplex buyer. Wow. I don't know if she ever knew that. First duplex, first sale. And I made so many mistakes in that first duplex. I know
You definitely did.
I know.
I'm glad you said that.
I know. I made so many mistakes. People were stealing from me, Ashley. So it's just a good kind of segue into some of the other sides of, when you own a duplex or even in the process of building them, how relationships are so important.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are driven by cost. Well, how much does this cost? Make it as cheap as possible, when no, that's the wrong way to look at things. Because when you look to find the cheapest people working for you, you're going to get burned. You're going to get people that aren't experienced. You're going to get people that don't know what they're doing, and it's going to make you suffer in the long term. And so when I built what turned out to be Ashley's first duplex, and I operated it for a year or 2 before she bought it, that was just like, I learned so much.
Yeah.
And so I thank Ashley. I owe Ashley more than a bottle of champagne, too.
Can we get that in right?
If y'all only knew. So
I didn't know that I was your first one, but I'm glad you held on to my numbers so that way we could have this talk. Because,
absolutely.
I was like, as far as layout, you did an amazing job with actually having it built in a way that a family could live in there.
Yes, absolutely.
And I feel like a lot of builders do not highlight a living room space.
Yeah, they make the living room small.
Size.
They make it small now because they want to build tighter and smaller and maximize the profit. Yes.
And
density.
Right. So every room had a walk-in closet that was a great size, and I was like, okay, I could live here and I could do what I need to do, which is get my tenant on board and make sure my mortgage would be paid for. That was my goal. I was 20.
That was like 18 or 17 or 19. It's been a while now.
28, 29 when I bought my Duplex.
Y'all see and hear all these young people that are buying real estate, and y'all think it's not real. I mean, this is something that's achievable.
Right.
You know, you see Ashley and Ayanna here today. You know, Ayanna isn't 30 yet. You know, Ashley barely is a little over 30. And so, you know, they're veterans at owning real estate. So that's an important piece of this too, is that this is doable, right? I never want to, I know sometimes I get feedback from people like, man, you scare people from buying real estate. And it's, no, I'm not scaring you. I'm giving you some of the realities, but also preparing you. But this is stuff that's definitely achievable and attainable. You have people here in flesh that have done it. Mike's bought a duplex. So, you know, we have a Najee coming on later, and he's, you know, has a bunch of properties and, you know, going to buy more properties. So people can really give you guys a real perspective on ownership. And I think that's kind of why we're here today, to share some of that, and then also how you get tenants. And it's great timing that you're on the hot seat now. So you missed some of Ayanna's dialogue around experiences with tenants. So can you give us realistically, like, what your experience has been with tenants and how you get tenants? And, you know, if you're comfortable sharing, if you still own or occupy the other unit.
Right. Being an owner occupant, boundaries
Absolutely.
was something that I really had to learn. And I needed to really put those boundaries in place, because they know exactly when I'm coming home. They know exactly when I'm leaving, or if I'm trying to, you know, dodge them or something.
Absolutely.
So your folks know that you're the owner. Which is like what we were talking about with Ayanna, is like, hey, what's that balance of, do you tell them? Like, how do you manage that? So, okay, that's interesting.
It's hard to hide it when you buy your owner occupant loan.
I wanted to not tell them because, you know, I bought it with my brother, and my brother lived out of state. So I was like, okay, maybe, but he wasn't taking on the responsibility, so it was just me. So I had to, anytime there was bugs coming in the house, so I had to make sure I got the pest control in place. So it was just, they got things done a lot faster because I lived there. I did it for about a year, maybe 2 years, I think. And then I pivoted. I was like, Airbnb is popping. Let me jump on. So I jumped into doing Airbnb, and it was good the first year, and it was down significantly the second year.
Was this during COVID or after COVID?
Like right after. I think I started doing it 2020.
Okay.
So like right in the midst
right
of
in
it.
the midst of it. Yep.
And then that second year I said, oh, that's a significant drop. I went from 20 extra thousand to like 7. So I was like, all right, we're going to pivot again. And I pivoted into doing, I had 3 foreign exchange students. So
Nice.
I did that program, and that, let me breathe.
That's good. What school were they a part of, or what program?
HCC.
HCC,
They did,
nice.
Their.
How did you find that lead source just to find foreign exchange students? That's a good one.
I was just looking for anything, anything different than being, having just a regular tenant, because it wasn't going to bring in the income that I needed to feel free. So
Correct.
That's always been my goal. I'm chasing freedom. And when I found that program, it was freeing because it was bringing in almost $5,000 a month. So not only did I had all the house bills paid for.
Yeah.
That's your mortgage and then some.
You know?
Yeah.
And my silly butt traveled my butt off in 2023. It was my best year.
Absolutely. You got to treat yourself.
Should have saved. Because now I'm in another transition mode, and now I'm going into the group home space.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I think it's I love that you've been creative, because I think one thing people miss when we talk about duplex and real estate investing is it's a business.
Absolutely.
And when you're in a business, you have to pivot, and you have to match the market, right? And so you have to understand, hey, what's working right now, what's not working. And our market has shifted a lot in the last couple. We haven't had a normal year like since COVID. Like it's been something different every year.
Absolutely, something
so that's going to impact your business. One thing I do want to hear both of y'all speak on is y'all both are living the dream in terms of you got some great interest rates, so you're able to have, you know, your other side pay for your mortgage.
Right.
That's hard for people to do now because of where interest rates and insurance costs are. So people come to me all the time. Well, yeah, I want to live on one side and have a tenant pay the mortgage, and I have to let them know, like, hey, unfortunately, that's really hard to do right now. It's possible.
Very hard to do.
So, like, I mean, if you guys were, you know, to invest now, like, do you still think it's a good strategy to get where you guys currently have, or do you think like you timed it, you got a great deal, and maybe you have to do something different?
I timed the mess out of that.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
I don't think that the resources are the same when I first bought. I'm buying in an up and coming. I knew it was up and coming because we had sidewalks. So, and I'm from the West Coast. So I was like, okay, we got a corner store, so in case anything happened, I could go over there.
You can just walk there,
right? Even though I don't. But I feel that when COVID happened, I was able to take advantage of an even better deal. And I went from 4, maybe 5% to 3%.
Very nice. So you had equity to refinance, and that's an important piece.
Right.
So a lot of people, they want to refinance so bad right now. And I tell you, when you buy a retail product off the MLS, especially now, Ashley and Ayanna bought in a different real estate market. You have to have the equity to be able to refinance and not have to bring a bunch of money to the table. Something interesting too, I hope you guys caught that Ashley mentioned, is that she came from the West Coast. If you listen to Ayanna mentioned she came from Louisville, Kentucky. And I say that to always continue to educate people around the fact that Houston is a destination city. You have all kinds of people, primarily through education and work, that come to Houston and make Houston home. Yeah. So that's a big piece of what the future of Houston is. I remember being in college, we had a sociology professor. He started the Kinder Research Institute, who the city government and local people and a lot of private groups, they lean on for data now to kind of see where Houston is going. And based on their recent findings, it's trending in that same direction. You guys wouldn't even know it, but 4 out of 5 people in Houston aren't from Houston. Wow. That's crazy. I don't know if there's any other, major city in America like that. So
I mean, that's true, because I mean, you're the only person in this room that's from Houston.
No, I'm not even from Houston.
You're not even from Houston. Yeah, none of us are. Are you from Houston?
I'm the only one.
Najee is the only
We literally
Houstonian.
we got 5 people in here. Like, we the stat.
Yeah, we all the stat. 4 out of 5 right in here. So that tells you something, right?
Yeah.
And so, and it's great you're leading into group homes. I want you to also educate people on what are going to be some of your requirements, because I think a lot of times in marketing, people give you these strategies, but they don't tell you some of the things you have to do to cover your bases, right? You're not just going to transition to a group home. Like, how is your insurance going to change? Like, that kind of stuff. Like, because liability is a big thing, right, when you own real estate. Especially today, there's a ton of people getting sued, whether it's valid or invalid. I mean, it's just it's a strategy for some people, I'll be honest, to chase settlements. Yeah. I'm in a lawsuit right now, and I, who knows if I'll be in another one next year. You just never know. So talk about how you guys cover your basis from a liability perspective, both from the point of insurance and then also like signage for people that come onto your property. Do y'all have no trespassing signs? Do you have signs inside of your units to kind of, just talk about that a little bit, because that's important.
Yeah, I'll say with liability, thankfully my insurance is not super crazy. What I'll say is that the benefit of doing it through Airbnb or Vrbo is that you can add an additional fee specifically with Vrbo that covers your everything in the property, and you submit that expense and you'll get reimbursed. Same goes for Airbnb, but I think it's free. It comes with it in Airbnb,
is free.
And so I prefer
Up
Airbnb.
To $1 million.
Yeah, but I'll be really honest. I have not had anything super crazy. No one has stolen anything. Our property has never been really super damaged. And something I kind of do is let people know that I'm a very active and present property manager. So within all of my leases or agreements on Airbnb or Vrbo, I say owner can enter property at any time.
That's big.
And I do that respectfully. So I always get permission, get that documented, because I don't want people to think that I just go in there. However, when I first had these new tenants, I would go in every 30 days and do a inspection.
Wow.
Smart stuff.
Yeah. I like that.
I was not that thorough.
Okay.
But I did have that clause in there. But my tenants at the time, they called me so much, so I would be in there all the time. So it was different for me. And then I keep pivoting, right? So I did the Airbnb, so the insurance came with it. But when I have to do the annual insurance, make sure that the other side is covered, let them know that it is a business, so that way I'm covered.
Ding, 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 ding. Y'all heard that. That's the important piece that a lot of people skip. You have to let your insurance carrier know that you're operating the other side as a business, because the liability changes completely.
It does.
You know, so that's important. So I'm glad you threw that out there, Ashley. And I guess keep going and just go into like the different things you're uncovering in this process.
I am. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. Nobody's stopping me.
I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah,
We
so
appreciate
talk
that.
more about that, because like, I mean, I think the psychological piece of being a business owner is something that we don't address. I think we do in other business sectors, but again, the real estate, especially when you're house hacking, it gets kind of blurry in terms of, is this personal, is this business? So kind of talk about like what you've had to overcome, you know, having to go through those pivots. And I love that you were kind of like, I'm going to keep going. Like what is that? Like, what is your motivation? Why did you say that?
I mean, living in the West Coast, I didn't have. We lived in motels. I only lived in an apartment. This was my first home ever.
That's amazing.
And I wanted to make sure that it was a legacy thing. So that way I can pass it down, because in my family that just doesn't happen.
That's
we don't
huge.
pass anything down. And in the South, it's beautiful. I love the people here because they pass things down to their loved ones. And so I wanted to start that for myself. As far as like, I don't know, that's my motivation to keep going, but I'm also a nurse. So I'm like, I've been saying I'm going to do a group home, but I didn't know how to start. So I think as I hosted and became a property manager to host, to cultivating a culture for foreign exchange students to see Black people totally different from Boys in the Hood whatever movies
huge.
that they were seeing, then I was like, okay, I think I can move into what I know. Yeah. I know healthcare. I know how to host and make people feel welcome. So that was important for me to just keep moving, because I don't want to lose my home.
Absolutely. Yeah. You won't.
And there's so much that my home brings to me as far as like the freedom that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So good. Actually, this is a question for any of you guys. In terms of that legacy piece, passing it down, what are the strategies y'all have in place to pass it? I think we say that a lot on social media, like legacy and generational wealth. Most people don't actually know legally what that looks like.
What it looks like in real life.
So if y'all have that set up, I'd love to hear like what you're doing to actually do that.
What I'll say is that, and this is not specifically related to real estate, but you need a living will.
There we go.
You need to say who's going to be in charge of your bank accounts. I'm sure you have this, but you want to make sure that you have some sort of clause in there or policy that's related to if you were to die today. You know, does your house get paid off or does it get sold back to the bank? That's very important. And, you know, I found out this information because, fun fact, my grandparents own a mortuary, like a funeral home. And so that's how I found out a lot about that. And my mom's been really harping on me about that. But that's kind of how I really protect my assets. And my mom, she's also a realtor as well, so she's giving me additional tips as well.
Love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, she brought up great points about having a living will, and you know, even going beyond that for further protection, right? And so you're not, you know, the things about wills, you still have to get them probated, right? You're gonna have to, your family's gonna have to go through a process involving, you know, the local legal system.
Yeah.
So, you know, beyond that, you can form trusts, right? And these trusts are, you know, they really are a lot more concrete, right? And then especially once you start getting dependents and kids and heirs, they just create more of a definition on what's going to happen. And then those heirs, if you set it up the right way, they can't like alter and play games. Y'all all heard about how, somebody faked this and faked a will and that kind of stuff. But with the trust, it's like, no.
It's locked in. Okay. Yeah. How much does it cost to set up a trust or get a living will? I mean, like...
For the trust perspective, if you really hire a good firm, it's going to be anywhere from like $7 to $10 grand, honestly. And I know that sounds like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. But when you really think about it and get to that point, you want those protections in place, because $7,000-$10,000 today, 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, whenever your time comes, is going to be nothing compared to, you know, the gravity of what a, you know, what a $400,000 or $500,000 duplex is today. What is it going to be 20, 30, 40 years from now? Like,
do you think you should get a trust after you have multiple properties, or just even if you have one duplex, do you still think you should have a trust, or is like the living will?
Everyone's opinion is a little bit different. Like some people don't really even go there until they start having kids and legacy and heirs. But I mean, it's just different, right? And then there's ways you can protect your properties, right? I know you guys both signed owner-occupant loans, right? So the property, I don't know if it is or it still is in your primary name. One of the things, I think Anaje can speak to it later on in the podcast too, is when your property, especially your primary property, transfers from your personal name to like a trust, an LLC, or any other type of formation, they may try to challenge you on the homestead, right? They may want to take that homestead away from you. So there's a whole process you got to go through to try to protect that. So that's important too. Yeah. But, you know, it's a great question you bring up, because, you know, that's a thing we hear so much about now. Wealth, you know, what's the catch term everyone says now? Like the generational wealth. Everyone says generational wealth. But like, what does that really look like in real life? You know, we're saying it right now, right? In our, but what does it really look like? You know, Ashley mentioned, you know, her experience with her family, and this being her first home, and this is something she's going to pass down. Ayanna, too, her family is in the mortuary business back home. So these are things we need to think about. Even me, you know, personally speaking about it, my family, we lost our dad when I was 8 years old. And I'm here to tell you, like, that was life-changing for us, completely life-altering. Our dad died early, and it overnight changed our lives, right? I mean, we were made more resilient through it, but it's even lessons I carry from that experience now. So that was a great question, Mike.
Yeah, okay. For the ladies, so y'all are a couple of years into this now. You've kind of got your bumps and bruises now. You've learned how to navigate. You're pivoting. I want this episode to be like the most valuable podcast episode ever. Because I mean, when I hear people talk, there's so much misinformation out there. In our profession as realtors, I feel like we have not done a great service to helping people know the reality. It's just all the marketing out there and all the gotcha gimme Instagram videos that go viral and get people excited. And we obviously want to empower people in this episode, but we just like really want them to understand. So like in terms of where y'all are at now, in terms of like the future of your business, where do you see the future of your business going with where things are at? And now, you know, if you were to invest now, you're investing with the rest of us, you know what I mean? Like, who didn't get the time to market perfectly. So like, what's the strategy? Are you still gung ho on duplex? Are you looking at single family? Are you completely like, hey, I'm going to move into a different business sector? What's kind of y'all's strategy going forward? So I'd love to, Ayanna, hear you first. Yeah.
My next steps are, so as I mentioned, I'm a 10-year veteran. You can use the VA home loan for multi-unit properties. And a VA home loan, no PMI, great interest rates, zero closing cost, and you can use that multiple times. So my next step is when I get back on my feet, I want to continue to buy duplexes and purchase that one with a duplex. Wait maybe a year. I really don't even have to. I could
is different.
Just refinance with a conventional, use that equity, have that cover my closing costs, and just do that over and over until I have the whole city. So
you're going to leverage your current equity plus the VA loan to do it again and roll.
Yes, and and I want to be clear. I will not be doing a refi cash out. I'll just be doing a HELOC.
Okay, got it.
You want to explain the difference for what that is? Because, you know, remember what type of audience we might have. Some people may know what a refinance is and a HELOC, but everyone doesn't. You know, sometimes we talk and don't realize everyone does. What's the difference between a refinance and a HELOC?
With a refinance, you get a new rate and you're able to pull out your equity. With a HELOC, you just get a line of credit in the amount of your equity.
Okay.
And you get to keep your rate.
What would you say to someone that, because I've had people talk to me in their opinion on, you know, HELOC is you're technically taking out a second loan, so you're kind of doubling up. what are your thoughts on that in terms of your risk position and your liability now that you have essentially 2 loans essentially to pay off?
I would say it's a safer option because compared to credit card rates, which could be up to 25%, HELOCs are, and please correct me if I'm wrong, are maybe around 8-10%. So that's more so that's technically a business loan that you're just taking out from the bank, but you're pulling it from your own asset.
Yeah.
And I kind of did the numbers a couple of days ago, like a 60K HELOC around like 856 interest rate. The payment ranges between like $400 and $600 per month.
Okay.
If you do the specific term that I selected.
Right.
So that's nothing compared to running up a ton of credit card bills on a 25% rate.
Okay. And are you going to pay that HELOC with your new property, or are you going to roll it back into like the original?
I have a day job, so it's just another bill.
Okay, got it. Okay. Sorry, I don't think I don't mean to get too into your business, but I was just curious, like, those that's the real.
Yeah, that's real. It's like another car payment.
Yeah, it's like another car payment. But I mean, if you're taking it to invest again, I've taken a HELOC out, and with our bank that we took a HELOC out with, you have a 20-year repayment period, right? Up until then, I think it's like prime plus 1% interest you're paying. So the interest rate kind of fluctuates as the market goes, but it just puts you in a unique position to be able to go out and buy more real estate, or go out and as Ayanna mentioned, not take on consumer interest rates. Who wants to pay 20%? That's what's killing a lot of people right now. If we're honest right now, that's a huge problem Americans have right now, is that credit cards are maxed out, interest rates are 20%, so you're just paying all this interest. So why not, if you have a plan in place, use real estate debt, to access capital instead of swiping credit cards.
I like that. Ashley, I'm going to come to you next, but I have one more question for you, Ayanna. So in terms of your next duplex, are you going to build or purchase? Because I know Gilbert is screaming to the rooftops to build. It's cheaper to build than to buy.
And with VA, and look, she even knows this probably too. With the VA has a great program where you can build it from the ground up.
Really? See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, but right now I'd like to just buy.
It's safe.
It is. And to address your comment about it being a new market, all you have to do is really increase your rate, to get that money back. People need hot places to stay. They love nice, new, shiny things. There's ways to get the money back.
Okay. Just got to be creative and be willing to just push through and make it happen. Yeah. Okay. Ashley, I know group home, so your next might just be figuring that new business model out, but where do you think you're going?
So I'm so excited about this. I ended up getting accepted into Goldman Sachs Black Women in Business program.
Look at you. Congratulations. That's huge.
So I had to create a whole business plan, right? And make it solid and airtight. So basically, now that I have the one unit being occupied, and I'm projected to make about $10,000 just from the one unit, then I'll
$10,000 what, a month? What?
And then
that's nasty.
That's just off of 3 residents, and not doubling up and making it, overcrowded.
That's good stuff.
And so basically, my goal is to move out and occupy the other space, $20,000, and then by next year, I'll probably do that HELOC thing if I need to. If I'm not able to make enough, or if I need to pull money anywhere, I'm just gonna figure it out like that, and then do a tiny home in the backyard, because there's still so much space back there that's unused, untouched, and then we maximize the profits there.
So it'd be like a triplex place.
Yeah, that was actually, it's funny she brings that up. I called her years ago and told her that was one of my mistakes, because her duplex is on a 12,000 square foot lot. And it's just one duplex in the front. So I think it has like a 25.
Duplex?
Yes.
You know what?
I tried. They said the way that, because there were other people who lived in those houses on the other end. But the church in the back, he's willing to work with me, honestly. So
that same pastor, he came and knocked on my door before your duplex was ever built. He was like, God sent me to, get this land from you. He wanted to make it a parking lot for his church.
Right.
But it's interesting. One thing you might want to consider, Ashley, too, with the new rules is doing like some ADUs back there, because you have enough space to where you're not going to, probably even need a drainage plan because you're not going to be over like the impervious coverage for the water runoff rules at all. So you got a lot of space back there. And that was one of the mistakes I made. Again, her duplex was our first one. And that was before we figured out highest and best use. I'll never forget, the real story is a Section 8 inspector was coming. This was going to be one of my first Section 8 units, right? Did you get it leased?
Yep.
Yeah, so when you bought it, you had someone next door. And so the Section 8 inspector came, and he was listening. He was like, "You fool, you could have built something else. Like, why you?" And, I was like, you know what? He's right. And so I looked into it, and then across the street a little bit down the way, that's when I started with the replatting and the density. So that's cool. You have that space. So that actually, you should build that. Well, you can do a HELOC and pull money out because that's going to probably take your value up very considerably. So that's actually cool that you.
And it's already up significantly since we purchased.
Yeah, you bought for like 200 something. That's the
245.
old days. Woo.
245,
I'm weak.
which was the price of building one, basically
Yep.
at the time. Or it was about $250 to build one. But yeah, I got a really good rate, and we're at 3%. So
That's awesome.
I'm just gonna keep moving
That's a
forward.
blessing.
That's my plan, and then I'll just keep expanding in the healthcare space, healthcare residential space. Excuse me. And go into hospice, and I don't know if I want to do a commercial yet.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm looking.
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
We got time for one last question. So Gilbert, I'm gonna let you take this. What you got? You got a last question you want, or kind of point that we want to.
I think last question for you ladies, all the marketing that people get about duplexes. Duplexes are a great thing. I used to live in a duplex when I was young, like 3 to 8 years old. I was living in a duplex, and we started building them obviously. Now, I guess the $1 million question is, knowing everything you know now and having gone through everything, learning about tenants, property management, I think I know the answer. Would you do this again?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. No questions asked. I mean, to move here in 2015 with nothing, right, but my nursing license and my little Altima, and be able to buy a property in 3 years, under 30, of course I'm doing it again. I couldn't do that on the West Coast.
That's awesome. And I love you said that too, because nowadays a lot of people like to crap on education, but you just said your nursing license basically enabled you to put you in the position you're in now.
Absolutely.
So that's crazy. Ashley's talking about doing $10,000 a month in a Sunnyside duplex legally and with the right insurance in place.
And also creating jobs for the neighborhood.
Exactly.
too.
Creating income opportunities for everyone else. So her approach is just like super. I love it. And, again, I'll be the first one to say when I built Ashley's duplex, I learned a lot of lessons, made a lot of mistakes. I owe Ashley a bunch of steak dinners, a lot of different, that champagne bottle, that's nothing compared to what's going to come. So, we're definitely going to be in touch a lot more. And it's great to finally meet you too in person, because we've been talking on the phone all these years, but it's great to finally meet you. And so,
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a bunch of conversations, but this is the first time we're actually meeting in person. And then so for Ayanna too, you mentioned you do this again. Like, what message would you want to leave potential other duplex buyers with?
What I'll say is that just take a leap of faith. When I first bought my duplex, I was like, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to furnish it? Just know that, and I'm really just that, he does not give you more that you can chew. And
Absolutely. Amen.
You're capable of the financing. There's so many programs out there to where you have little to no down payment outside of the VA home loans. You don't have to be a veteran, but there's so many programs out there. You have to ask people, and it's possible. Nobody should be paying their mortgage themselves.
Yeah, and I think one thing, Ashley, you said you partnered with your brother.
Yeah.
And then
That's huge.
Did you partner with them?
No.
You yourself? Okay.
No, so like I said, I worked for Accenture for about 2 or 3 years before I bought my duplex. So I had a decent amount of my 401k.
Okay.
I pulled from my 401k, and I saved up a lot.
And that's penalty free for your primary home when you pull from your 401k.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so I came to closing with maybe like 13 grand.
Okay. Yeah.
Same.
So that's something I think that relationship building, networking is really important, because if you do find yourself in a situation where you it just doesn't make sense by yourself, being able to, look at other creative options, who are investors that you can partner with. It's even if you are doing a partnership, it doesn't have to be forever. Like,
right. Doesn't have to be forever. It's a way to get in.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So there's people out here who want to invest and don't necessarily, maybe they want to invest in Sunnyside, but they don't want to live there. Like, hey, I'll live there and I will do the property management or whatever y'all's agreement is, and you can work something out. So I think that's something that I've been telling people because, a lot of people can't get the 3% interest rates, and so unfortunately, wage growth isn't what it needs to be, and so it is getting harder. And somebody the other day was telling me real estate ain't what it used to be. It's just everything is hard. It's like that is it. And these ladies are proof that you can get through the hard. But I think that's why I get a lot of personal satisfaction out of being a realtor is because I get to help people go do something hard, right? And
absolutely.
show their family that, hey, we can go through something challenging and we can build something for our future, because it's just the reality that we live in. And so it's kind of pick your hard at this point, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Life is hard in general.
Yeah, pick your
Duplex,
hard.
no duplex.
Yep, duplex, no duplex, house, no house. I mean, this is definitely a journey everyone should want to take. And I like how you brought up the whole partnership thing, right? Yeah. Because house hacking looks different to a lot of different people, a lot of different ways. Ashley got with her brother. I remember that your brother was on the HUD too. And I mean, it's just, even to this day, I house hack. I have a multi-generational home. I have, my mother-in-law living with me at one point. Also, it was my grandmother-in-law. And then at another point, it was all of us plus my wife and her husband living with us. Wow. So that was a way to kind of allow everyone to kind of save money to invest. Yeah. Right? I was able to scale into more investments. My brother-in-law and sister were able to buy a house, and it even came a point in opportunity where my own blood sister was asking me about investing, and I told her, hey, I'll be real honest with you right now. Go buy an occupied space that has a tenant in place. You're young and you have a family. You don't want to go through a lot of, vacancy periods and all that. And so she ended up buying an occupied duplex as well that she still owns to this day. So
that's amazing.
Just like, these two ladies up here, they're people that have executed this, right? So it's possible.
All right. Well, thank y'all for coming on. Thank y'all for y'all's transparency. Like, for real.
Yeah, I really
we asked y'all some
appreciate
hard questions, and y'all answered it. So I just want to thank y'all for that. And y'all are going to help a lot of people with your story. And so I believe in the law of attraction, and the good energy that you put out there is going to come back. And so believing for both of y'all's businesses and futures that it's going to come back tenfold. So, yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. I need to get a picture with two of y'all before y'all leave. So let's get this in before we...
Hopefully you're enjoying the episode. If you are feeling inspired and want to have your own duplex to purchase as an investment property or to house hack, now is your chance. Behind me is one of Gilbert's duplexes here in South Houston. He's going to be selling that property, and this is your chance to get an income-producing property, bringing in income day one. This is a quality built duplex. No corners were cut on this to maximize profits. It is a well-built, high-quality, meant to last, built with your family or your tenants in mind to have a quality living experience. Information will be in the description, so check that out. Feel free to give us a call if you have any questions, and enjoy the second half of the episode. All right. Well, this is a super pod episode because we just recorded. We had Ashley and Ayana in here, and we got some really real conversation about duplexes and the reality of being a duplex owner and all the things and where they're going in the future. So we brought in Mr. Anaje Barnes.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Man, we've been playing around.
We've been playing around. We had you on the schedule, and then we had some scheduling conflicts. So I'm glad we got it.
We here now. Yeah,
right across the street from the spot too. So it makes sense.
Hey, I told you I'm easy to find.
Yeah. So just for the folks that are watching online, we're in Third Ward right now, and in a podcast studio, and Anaje has a apartment complex.
Yep, apartment complex. Turned boutique hotel called The Escape. We pretty much do short, midterm rentals, some long-term rentals. I tell people all the time, look, I rent property. That's what I do. Yeah. Like, oh, you do Section 8, you do this. I rent houses. It's not too many places that we haven't done. Yeah. But that property is, literally across the street, right on Emancipation.
Yeah. Okay. And so I love that I got both of you guys. I know y'all are good friends and work together. I don't know if have y'all invested together as well. Y'all do deals together?
We just help each other out.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think y'all both have a really high level of expertise in the fields that you do. So I think we're really gonna round out this episode and really kind of get into some higher level conversations recommendations for folks who maybe have a little bit more experience, because I think I want to speak to people who are at different levels of their investing journey, right? And I think a lot of times we speak to the newbies, the first-time home buyers, but we don't really speak to the people who have been in the game, right?
Yep.
And so to kick it off, Anaje, like hearing where Ashley and Ayana were at, like what was your perspective on that as an expert and kind of where you think you see them going?
Yeah, I mentioned to them, I said, look, the hardest part about real estate is actually doing the first deal, buying your first property, whatever that is, right? Particularly people that are black, right? 43% of us own homes, right? So it's more likely that you actually know someone that doesn't own a home than that does. So that's the first step, right? The second step is probably like just keeping with it, learning how to. You're a homeowner. Be a homeowner. Yes, you have to take care of things, right?
Yeah.
And that's like part of it. That is the responsibility. That's the trade-off of the win,
Right.
And then the next step is just understanding, if you choose, hey, knowing when that you can scale, knowing that you can scale, knowing that grandma was right when she told you not to get a second loan, but she was also right because she didn't know that, hey, 85% of small business uses home equity to start a business, right?
Yes.
So yeah, don't go out here and just get second loans to get them, but have intention, right? And it was awesome hearing them because they clearly gonna have intention, and they're at a level where they can now scale and move forward.
Yeah. Okay. So both of y'all and Gilbert, you can take this first question. Y'all both share so much information online. Like sometimes I feel bad getting like y'all give away all the good stuff. I should be paying them right now for this information. Like why do y'all share so much information like about investing?
Well, I'll be very transparent. The reason why I share is because I know where I invest, right? And I know a lot of interest is there and a lot of new investors are coming in, right? And so we have a shared upside, right? So I want everyone else that's investing where I invest to do well.
Yeah.
Because if they're doing well and I'm doing well, what's that saying? Like, rising tides carry all boats, right? So if everyone is doing well, it's a better outcome for everyone. So we're so much more involved than just a transaction, right? We want people to do well on their journey, like the Ashleys and the Ayanas, because, as they do well in these same communities we invest in, it, it's going to be a better outcome for us. Yeah. We think long term.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, look, I got story after story on why I do this. Number one, I'm good, bro. Like, so this whole idea of like, there's so much deals to be had. I can't do all the deals. So I'd rather my homeboy or my homegirl be able to do the deal. Prime example, my escape property across the street. I was the first one to kind of come in that area on that side of Emancipation to remodel a property. Within 6 months, another fourplex got done. 3 fourplexes have gotten redone. One of my students did a 5-unit right down the block. So now the whole area is actually looking better.
Yep.
I didn't have the capital at the time to do those 14, 15 units on the other block to do those. I knew they were deals because I just did mine, right? But now I've got other people coming in, bringing up the neighborhood, because I brought up the neighborhood. What does that actually happen to my property value? I get wealthier.
There you
right?
go.
So that's a win, right? I want Gilbert to do well. We're not really even in the same space. Because guess what? I might raise capital one day. I might want to take down a 150-unit a complex. I need other dudes to have some money, y'all.
Exactly.
That, like, you know what I mean? Like, I need, like, I can't have all the money. Like, so I need other people to have the money, and I ain't got to worry about, I know he got the money.
Exactly.
Why? Because he got some property.
Yeah.
He's doing some things. So that's a win for all of us.
Right.
And for me, not to be funny, I know, same with Gilbert, we got a lot of game. So it ain't, the stuff I'm giving out really...
It's just tidbits.
Yeah. Like, and that's not trying to be. That's 18 years in the game, So I'm not tripping about what I'm giving you. Like, if I give you something that can help you get to where we need to get to, that's a different. That's a win for me.
Okay, I love that. Yeah. So I know Gilbert's background. We talked about that in the previous episode, and we'll have that link so folks can go watch that. We don't got time to go into that today, but we don't know your origin story. So quickly kind of tell us how you got to where you're at, where you're commercial and investing and stuff.
Yeah. So, look, I'm from Houston, 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas, Jack Yates High School. Single mom, 4 kids. Okay. We ain't had no money.
Yeah.
But I had a brain, and she gave me that.
Yeah.
I graduated number 2 in my class at Yates. Went on to UT Austin, majored in economics. Originally engineering, majored in economics. So I love money. I did the corporate thing like everybody else.
Yeah.
Of course.
And, spent a couple years in corporate. and then the whole division got bought out by another company. 26,000 people laid off nationwide. Now, because of my age, because I had some things going on, I got other job offers. But I picked up that book. Everybody know that Rich Dad Poor Dad book.
Rich Dad, Poor
right?
Dad.
right. And so I got hooked. I had an older frat brother that gave me some game. He owned a couple fourplexes in Austin. So I was like, okay, let me get on this real estate thing. Bought my first property with a NACA loan, 0 down. Bought a foreclosure in 2008. Bought a crappy house. So I'm a rehab guy, right? So I rehabbed the ugly home. I didn't build from the ground up.
Yeah.
Rehabbed it. 6 months later, I got $80,000 worth of equity. With that equity, the bank was allowed me to give $40,000 out of that from a cash out refi.
Okay.
I did a rate and term refi. Did what they call a burst strategy. Fell into that. Didn't know what it was.
Okay.
Well, got $40,000 in my pocket. What did I do with that? It was foreclosure time in 2008.
Yeah.
So I bought a rental in Herm Clark, older home, bought a rental, put some sweat equity, ain't had no money. Home Depot credit card, sweat equity for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I got a $900 a month rental on
Man,
a
that's
290
beautiful.
mortgage.
Beautiful. So you have those hands-on skills. That's some of the stuff that comes into play with investors, especially in the beginning. I mean, he's saying he basically executed burst strategy, and he was the one. And I don't know if
I
he
was
had
26.
friends or anyone else.
And I didn't know what I was doing.
Yep.
And again, look, once you get $900, and again, that same property now is rented for $1,800, but at the time it was $900, 290 mortgage. I'm pocketing some cash that's higher than the car note. I'm hollering at my boys, and I got an $1,100 mortgage on myself, right? So, like, this is winning. I still got a job. My wife got a job. And I'm like, okay, this is something.
Yep.
Like, okay, we got something here.
Yeah.
So, at that point, I'm just educating myself. I'm networking with people, educating myself, finding every way I can scratch whatever, get a bonus at a job, save that money, put a 20% down. Okay, but again, 20% down back then was a little bit smaller numbers.
Yeah.
But burn it. Bought property off a credit card. I've hustled my way as far as finding ways to buy property. And then
And so talk about like when you made the big jump. So
Yeah,
I kind of see your
great.
progression. You were
Yeah.
kind of doing the takedowns for the rehabs
once
and
a year.
Okay,
Yeah.
once a year, and then
Then-
you had enough equity with your whole portfolio to go.
Boom.
So actually, because I was buying so well, going direct to seller, wholesaler type moves, right? I've never bought anything retail. To be real clear, right? I buy on discount. So I had 2 properties that I bought on a credit card because they were so cheap. I got those for like $16,000 a piece, which is like ridiculous, right? Had them paid off. Had Section 8 tenants chilling. I'm big chilling, right? I'm bringing in some. I'm chilling at this point.
Cash flow.
Cash flow, right? Hurricane Harvey hits me, flooded out both of these suckers. I didn't have insurance because I was self-insuring. Right. So my game's hard knocks.
Yeah,
So I can tell you what to do real quick. So I'm self-insured because I got paid off property.
you don't
and
have to have
I ain't
insurance.
have to legally, right? So I'm self-insured. Get hit by Hurricane Harvey. That hit me in the throat.
Yep.
Right. They paid off. Had some credit card. Had some cash. We were lucky enough. My tenants had to go. One of the tenants actually lived in the George R. Brown.
Oh wow. Yeah. During
Right,
the
like the whole
relocation.
area got
Yep.
flooded out. Like, and this was not a well-to-do area.
Yep.
So I'm proud to say that we was able to rehab both those homes within 30 days and get our tenants back. Okay,
Nice.
and I got
That's
the same
awesome.
tenants back, and one of them is still with me.
Wow.
And that's a long time ago.
And if you guys remember during Harvey, I mean that was devastating.
Now I'm gonna bring this home because it's long-winded, but I give it a game,
Yeah.
right? So what that taught me was, and some of my other coaches that don't look like me also was saying this, but I didn't believe it at the time. Real estate is not necessarily the best place to park equity and to park wealth. It's a wealth creating tool.
It's a tool.
It's a high equity tool, right? But it may not be the best place to have a significant amount of your wealth in because it's illiquid. Right? Hurricane Harvey taught me that. You think a bank's about to give me a loan right then?
No.
They're not. Right? So what I did was fix it back up, get it back operating. Year later, as fast and as soon as I could, got me a cash out
Got your money.
refinance.
Yep.
Bought those for $16 a piece. They gave me $200. Okay, y'all can do whatever math you want to do to that.
I did
But-
that quick math. So if you bought them for 16 a piece, you did the sweat equity after Harvey a year, and they gave you $200K. That's nasty. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean-
And that's including, obviously, they ain't giving me the full equity amount or whatever. So these properties were worth a significant amount of money comparatively to what I bought them for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. So got $200K, and really what I was really on, I was chasing the freedom. I've always been chasing freedom. And I was saying to myself, okay, I'm buying one a year. I'm doing well. Obviously, I'm doing well with it. How do I get more quicker? You're a realtor. How many deals are really out on the MLS in any given time? Like real cold ass deals.
Not very many.
Right. So I figured, well, why is that? Because everybody playing with FHA. Everybody's playing with 1 through 4. Commercial real estate is 5 and above.
5 and up.
These are different rules. These are tougher rules. Okay. And these are not easy rules to play with. But I was able to find a wholesale deal. Bought my first 21 unit complex at $53,000 a door. Do that math.
That's good. That's good. That's 2 duplexes today.
Do that math.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Had the
How scary
down
was
payment.
that to make that jump?
Bro,
were you terrified?
I got
or
the gray
like-
hair to prove it.
Okay. You
Razor
spitting
arm.
these numbers out. I'm like, dang, man, that's a big jump. I mean,
No, I'm shooting shots. Let me be real clear. I'm shooting threes, okay? I'm shooting big time shots, right? And it's scary. And guess what? And I tell people all the time, Steph Curry is the best 3-point shooter of all time.
Of all time.
Okay, guess what? He's missing 6 out of 10
Yep.
every time.
yeah. That's
You
the
know,
word, yeah.
so it's scary. It was very scary for me. I had a lot of rehab experience. I'm a great negotiator with contracts and things of that nature. But I was going from 9 to 30 now. That's not the same.
Oh.
There's management changes, software. I got to use software. I ain't picking up cash no more. I can't do like a lot of. We're not taking Zelle, bro. Why we not even
Record
take
keeping,
bookkeeping? I can't even take Zelle.
Yeah.
Everybody's sending in the same $1,000. Who paid what?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so there was a lot more that I had to learn. But I also like to tell that story to let people know that it's possible with the right moves, and also understand. You asked me, did I take out my whole portfolio? I did not. What did I tell you? 2
The 2 houses. Yep.
out of 9.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Got me to 30.
Yeah.
Then they asked me how I got to 50. Right. Like, so,
Yeah.
you know, that's cash flow. If you're making money on property and you can pay your rent. Everybody heard online, it's a DSCR loan. Everybody hear about DSCR. You know, everybody. That's the new buzzword, right? DSCR loan. Here's a trick. It's all commercial real estate. Why is it called DSCR loan? Because it's a business loan, right? Why is it a business loan? Because you make money. So can you cover can you service debt service coverage ratio? What does that mean? We are servicing the debt.
Yeah.
That's what the lenders care about. They want to make their 6%.
Yep.
They in it to make their 6%.
Yeah.
I need you to make sure that I pay my 6%.
Yeah.
Can you prove it? How? Well, I got some rent that's going to cover this mortgage by 25%. That's why you'll see most loans you talk to with debt service ratios.
So something that both
1.25.
y'all have in common, y'all are still working W-2s, right? Are you still working a W-2?
Absolutely.
You still working a W-2? So
Absolutely.
did that give y'all a fallback to make some of these like aggressive
Absolutely.
moves?
Of course, it gives you a fallback, and I mean, just like we were talking in that earlier conversation, I get a little frustrated when I see a lot of the just how people try to crap on having a job and W-2s, and people don't understand. Like some of the highest performers I know, highest net worths locally that I really know in real life in Houston, they have W-2 income.
Yeah.
People, I mean, it's a great leverage, right?
Yeah.
It's a great tool to use, and it just helps you tremendously. My wife and I both, to this day, we have W-2 jobs, and both of our employers know what we do. They also know we're in the real estate business. They also know that, you know, we love equity now. That's a lesson also that I learned from my youth at my other W-2 jobs. I didn't take equity positions in the companies I worked at, but now that's changed. Company where I work now have equity in the company, right? You know, that was something I learned from the past. So, you know, that's a great learning ground. Your job is where you learn more and more about business.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know Najee works, I think, a Fortune 100.
Yeah.
So-
We didn't talk about them, but I work at a Fortune 100 company as well.
Yeah.
And look, we have to understand, number one, we're all here to make more money. So like if you're making some money, the whole goal is to make more money.
Make more.
Right? Like you gotta add more, right?
Yeah.
So like let's not crap on what that company likely taught you some skills
Facts.
for you to be able to get into the position to go buy some rental property.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So how about like what else can they learn you? Right? And can you go to work? Because most of us, I talk about this a lot, most of us go to a job and they're kind of like pissed off and they get into real estate because I'm like, man, I'm tired of this boss and this boss getting on my nerves and this corporate mess is getting on my nerves. It actually gets easier when you feel freer and safer.
Facts.
Right? Meaning like, I got some cash. If y'all let me go, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it'll be all right.
Yeah.
But I still want that check though.
Yeah.
Of course.
You know.
And does that help with the loan, like the DSCR? I mean, like, does that help?
I'm
You know?
stronger that way, right?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, like, one of the misnomers that I hate people talking about online is about LLCs, and you can buy real estate with LLCs. Like, the people who are saying that aren't really doing this in real life, right? You need a personal financial statement.
Yep.
Every real bank that's like giving you commercial loans is going to want to know a personal financial statement. They want to know
Once a year too.
Once
Every
a
year
year.
they
Every
want it
year.
updated.
They want it.
They don't
want
care
it.
who you are. Once a year they want it.
It don't matter
updated.
what your name is.
Yeah.
And so I'm stronger because I have not just equity in properties, but I'm stronger because I have stronger cash flow. Like they're not.
Yeah.
I'm not living just off of my rent. My rent is going back into the business. So
Okay.
my business
Yeah.
looks stronger.
Okay.
So long story short, I tell people real quickly, however long you want that W-2, they're your partner. Look at them as an unwilling partner. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, okay, maybe it ain't their business if the money that they're paying you is using to better yourself, right? They not promising you to be rich.
Yeah.
They're not promising you to retire.
Right.
Okay, let's just keep this transaction simple.
Yeah.
Time for money. That's it. That's all we doing, bro. And some of y'all jobs have a time frame on it. Some of mine don't really have a time frame, but meaning like 40 hours. That's what you get.
Yeah.
Maybe 50.
Yeah.
Right. But what is that?
Right. Right. Yeah. That's
They
so
don't own you,
good.
man.
So let me ask you guys this, right? So, you know, everybody isn't blessed to have the 6-figure job, right? And so I was texting Gilbert. I've got a profile of people that everybody's situation is a little bit different, but this is the almost exact lead that we've been getting from our podcast, Duplex content, is somebody who makes anywhere between 70 to 80K, which is a livable wage in Houston.
Yep,
I mean, if
it
you,
is.
you know,
Absolutely.
you got a small family, you're single, that's a livable wage. So that's not, we're not talking about somebody who's poor. This is, they got a little bit of money. They can get a nice car, nice place. Maybe they have 50 to 60K in savings. So I've been running into quite a few younger kids that are, living with their parents still or living with a family member. So they're able to save a little bit more money. So these are, they're smart with their money, right? Low debt. So college is paid off, or there's low student loans, or they got a car that they paid off. And they're getting pre-qualified for around $250 to $300. And a lot of that's just based off of their income, right? The income and then the interest rate, they're in that $300K number. So, I've been trying to get creative with these folks, right? Because I'm getting a lot of them. And the reason they're attracted to house hacking specifically is because they can get that tenant to kind of help offset some of that cost, right? Because they're making enough to be comfortable, but they're not making enough, to like, hey, when we start talking about investments, right? That's where it starts getting tight. So what would be y'all's thoughts on how that person could get started? Like, do you tell them to go ahead and take the risk, or is there a different strategy?
I'm about to blow your business up right quick.
on what you actually did, right? Are you going there?
Yeah. Well, I'm about to blow your business
I
up
knew he
right
was
quick.
going to go there.
So number one, all that stats are way better than what I started with. That's number
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Number two, now we're gonna give some game time, right?
Okay.
What's house hacking?
Living in one unit and renting the other units.
Wrong.
Okay.
Okay. Wrong. It's Golden Girls too. You ever watch Golden Girls, the show?
Mike
I have
might
not
be
one.
too young.
Okay. My bad. House hacking is you having an underlying mortgage for a property that you have and having other tenants help you pay it off.
To split the
Now, why did I
expense.
say wrong? Because when you said units, you automatically went to a duplex or triplex, fourplex. I said just having somebody offset. So we can go old school. Get a damn roommate. Okay? Like, go get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house if you can't afford the duplex. That's number one. But get in the game of property.
Yes.
Okay? If you buy yourself, I know a lot of your clients might be some of these nurses that buy themselves. I know that all the time. I talk to them all the time.
Yeah.
Like, Go buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and go rent a room out to another traveling nurse.
Exactly.
Go rent it to someone that's in your. And guess what? Here's the thing about people don't tell you about being a landlord. I actually get to choose who I live with or live in my property. Like, don't get it twisted, right?
Yep.
Like, there's
random.
There's HUD laws,
Yeah.
but you can absolutely market to who you want to market to, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm a single dude that like to go out. We'll go rent to another single dude that like to go out,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm a nurse. Okay, go rent to another nurse, right?
Yeah.
Like, go market to them. And because the game is not buying a specific type of property. The game is having more financial freedom. You can go that two ways. You can make more money, or you can reduce your living expenses.
House
Okay.
expense.
And
Yep.
that's what house hacking. And I know you know it,
Yeah.
but I want to just like differently, right? Like, you can go rent. I've given that advice to several people. A lot of people. I got several friends of mine. My baby god sister. She's a teacher, so she makes less than that number you just said. She has saved less than that number you just said. She bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath right during COVID, right around that time. So it wasn't super cheap. Whatever. She rented out both rooms to her college room. Her college. She rented one to a college roommate.
Yeah. Yeah, which I mean, you've Gilbert, you've made some posts. We had a tragic incident maybe 3 months ago about your situation where somebody's renting out and the roommate killed.
Renting by room.
So I mean, talk about some of the tips you put on social media for people who don't follow you to help people who maybe go that route.
If you do decide to rent by the room, number one, it's very important that you get the right type of insurance, right? You have to have the right liability insurance in place. You have to be open with your lender about what you're doing, right? So they know, in your insurance company as well. And then property management, vetting. You have to understand, it's exactly what Anaje just said. Single dude, like to go out a lot. Keep it kind of the same. You know, single dude, like to go out a lot. Keep people the same. I think in that tragic incident, it was a young 20, 21-year-old student with a 40-year-old
dude. Like, you know,
with a record of violence. Like, how in the world you would put those two together in the same space?
Weird.
It just shouldn't happen.
That's that landlord out of business. I tell you that.
Oh yeah, absolutely out of business. And you know, the family filed a lawsuit just recently, and you know, it's going to end. You know, it's going to end with a judgment, right, against the
100%.
property management company, likely against the owners, likely, because that was something that just shouldn't have happened. Obviously, you can't control what happens at some of your properties, but you have to take the right steps to protect yourself.
You got to control yourself.
What
you
control.
control.
Yeah. And I think something that I learned from Ashley and Anaya is they're making sacrifices right now.
Oh, that's a big part of it.
I mean, and that's the undertone of what I heard is like they weren't flexing on us at all. They were like, hey, we're working right now, right? Yeah. So I think I run into a lot of folks who they want a quality of life, and that's why the house hack can sometimes get confusing because they're like, oh, I'm house hacking, so I'm living there, so I want kind of my own quality of life. They also want it to be a business, and so I think I always challenge people like, hey, you got to decide, hey, what is this?
Right.
But when you say quality of life, right? That's a definition that we all have differently, right?
Yeah.
So because you know what she is getting, you said, oh, they're sacrificing. It's a trade-off. Let's not use the word sacrifice because you know what she is getting? More financial freedom, less gray hair because my bills are getting paid, housing stability, which is a real thing, right? Like you know, the ability to say, hey, I got laid off, or hey, I got an extra job, or just, man, hold on. Like if my contribution is like $700-800 and everybody else's contribution is $1,800.
Yeah,
that's real. Those are real numbers. That's real numbers.
That's a win.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think for me, it's like, because I talk to so many newbies that like want to get in the game, but I don't want to sacrifice, and I want this quality of life, whatever. No, you need to change your mindset about how you want to live.
Right.
Like, okay, do you want to live for flossing and fronting and capping and all of that?
Yeah.
Right? Or do you want to be able to have some money in your bank account?
Yeah.
Be able to like chill and, you know, not stress this month. Oh, maybe my hours didn't come in. Like,
yeah. Okay. And that's in the best case scenario, and a worst case scenario, you know, like they said, I mean, sometimes you get a bad tenant or something, but you should have a good game plan. If you have a good business model, you should have a game plan for that. Yeah.
And I think if you heard Ashley talk, she said the P word a lot, and I was like, man, she's got it. Ayana has it too. Pivot. Knowing how to pivot and change things and move around. I think, Mike, that's also an issue in today's society and how we see things. Like, everybody, it seems like they want to compare outcomes. I want to compare myself to Anaje's outcome or Mike's outcome. But what we don't compare and what we don't get to see it's the process. You know, he talked about that today on the podcast episode, right? Ayanna and Ashley, they talked about the process, and that's what people don't understand is that, man, that process and the output creates the outcomes.
Yeah,
so we
absolutely.
can't just look at the finish line. We got to start at the blocks, and even before the blocks, and see, you know, what people had to do and what the process or what they had to learn. You know, so much of this is learning. I know Anaje is going to talk about
you already
that.
know I'm about to go there.
You know,
Right? Yeah. It is one, as a people, we have to get better at saying, like, hey, can you help me, or asking for help, right? Too much are we trying to do our own game by ourselves, right? Like the game of life, like you need teammates. Like I did, like in football, it's 11 on 11, right? You need teammates. Basketball, just 5, right? Real estate is not tennis. This is not a solo sport, right? If you're going about it solo, again, I made all of these mistakes. So if you go at it solo, it's gonna take a longer time, right?
And that's okay.
And that's okay. But also, just being able to call somebody. Me and him talk. We probably texting back and forth several times a day about all kind of random stuff or whatever. I know stuff. He knows stuff. And guess I brag all the time. People are like, well, don't you build? Would you want to build? I said, I don't need to learn how to build. I got a homeboy that know how to build. Like I don't need to. Like I like, and again, I'm like, and I own land. Like I have land that I'm just sitting on this high equity land at this point. When you gonna build them? Whenever I feel like it. I got this homeboy that I can just call. You know, so I think that's super important.
You've been actually, I don't know, critical or, but you recommend people putting more equity into the deals initially, right?
Well, I'll say this if you can, like that's why I advocate if you're going to buy a new duplex, and if you can, the best process to do it is to build it from the ground up.
Okay.
You know, or to find a burb property that's a duplex to renovate, because ultimately you don't want to chase equity. You want to start. You know, obviously you can put sweat equity into it, but you want to start in a good equity position because it just leaves you more flexible, leaves you more open to use your property as you see fit. You know, now even in Houston, you guys are all aware. I know Anaje is aware that, you know, we have STR regulations coming down the pipe. So that's going to kind of even dramatically change how people can use some of the FHA properties. You know, once you have to put pen to paper and say, hey, this is how I'm using my property. It's going to change things.
Leaving a legal paper trail.
Yes, paper trail. That's the difference. A lot of people are minimizing what I've been saying, but they don't understand you're creating a paper trail.
Can I piggyback? Because I want to, Gilbert, I want to almost ask him a question, right? So he said multiple times on this podcast, on the previous one, you really want to build. I don't think people are clicking on what he's telling, okay? I live in a different space on renovation, right? We're doing the same thing. We're forcing equity into a property. We're adding value into the property or land in that matter, right? Real estate, the game of real estate, yes, the buy and hold and wait. I'm a buy and hold investor. Is awesome. The equity will build over time. Great. Check. Awesome. Right? But like the real game is buying properties on discount and or forcing equity.
Forcing the equity.
Right? Forcing equity is renovation, home, you know, or like whatever. But also renovation is development, right? Like developing a land to make it more valuable is the play. Now, if you're buying it retail, you're really not doing that,
You're not
right?
an investor
Like
at that point.
Yeah, like now, awesome, go do it, right? But if you can get to the point, if you really like real estate, go find a way to force equity. And there's a lot of ways to force equity, right? Her play on the group home. Here's what's funny. That's also forcing equity.
It absolutely
because
is.
her income increases, and there's going to be a bank out there that gives her a higher valuation because
Based on the income
because
she
of the
can show.
income.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to force equity.
Yeah.
But I like to really talk
equity.
about forcing equity.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And
However
it makes
you
it
do
more likely for you to be able to scale when you have equity. It's tough to be in a position where you have 0 to 5% equity. I mean, you know, what money or what tools are you gonna use to get into the next?
Right.
You know,
and for those who don't know, when we say equity, we mean cash. Like, I mean, that's your cash position in your property.
Absolutely.
So,
And I can tell you, I mean, even in today's time, it's a lot more doable than people think to, you know, just get with a good GC, get with a good lender. If you guys don't have them, we have those resources.
We got all the resources.
All those resources for you. Najee is going to talk more about, you know, the group that he has coming. It's going to be great, but we have all these tools for you here, disposable. You know, like he said earlier, I can't get all the money. I can't keep all the properties for myself, right?
Yeah.
So do you want the $100,000 in equity, or do you want to give it to me, a builder and a realtor and somebody else? That's basically what I'm telling you. You know, do you want the $100,000, or you want to just give it to me? It's up to you. I mean, I'll sell you a build to sell duplex all day, but look, build it from the ground up. Do the burst strategy. That's how you scale your net worth number. That's how you scale your real estate business.
So could you, because I mean, obviously, building does take a lot more cash up front.
Not really.
I mean, we're talking about land costs.
No,
we're talking about GC costs.
No.
Okay.
No. No. Knowledge costs, right? But knowledge is power. So again, look, I'm an owner, founder of Wealth Masterminds Academy. What we do, and I ain't trying to pitch, but I'm just letting people know, what we do is we are a network of like-minded, like-looking investors that, you know what, we just giving out game. We're helping each other, right? We have classes that cost it, but we give a lot of information.
A lot of information.
Me and Gilbert actually met online randomly on Clubhouse. I found out he was in Houston. We kind of knew a lot of the same people, and I invited him into our private group, and there's really not a question we can't ask.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Like, and I don't mean that to cap, like, just because I'm not the richest one. He's not the richest one. There's people that were way more wealthier than us in the group or whatever.
I'm not the richest one by no means.
So
don't
like,
even say me and rich in the same sentence. I'm not rich. No.
So and the reason why I said no, it's not. I corrected you so quickly because there are strategies to acquire property land on discount. Land is the easiest thing to go grab on discount, and then you can go buy that with little to no money down with certain types of strategies like, you know, seller financing, credit cards, whatever. Like, there's lots of strategies to go buy that land for nothing. Or I won't say nothing, but not raw cash, right?
Exactly.
So I'm giving you the play right now. So there's lots of ways to do that. If you buy on discount, right? And we buy everything on discount one way or the other. Like he's selling stuff at retail, but he's not buying it. He's buying the stuff on discount, right? Yeah. When you buy stuff on discount, that land's going to have extra equity. You go to certain types of banks that specialize in building, right?
Absolutely.
And you can use the equity of that land to actually finance the initial draw request, right? Of what you need. Now, where do you get the capital for the draw request? That's where you're like, hey, that's extra money, whatever. That number could get as low as whatever you thought your down payment was.
So, Mike, how you said you need more cash. Like, you'll see these commercials. Buy this duplex for just $20,000 down. Build the duplex for just $20,000.
So what you need to do
keep the equity. You have a loan, and you're going to pay a revolving fee against the money you borrow, but you're going to be in a better equity position, and that's what we're preaching.
Or if you are in these ladies' cases, and likely yours, go get the HELOC. This is a revolving line of credit.
Right.
Okay, the bank is saying we'll finance 90%, 80%, whatever that bill is, right?
Yeah.
So you got the 20 now and from your HELOC. Okay? All you got to do is show that cash. Here's a hint. Put it in your bank account 3 months before you go holler at them.
Yes, sir.
That's a whole trick move. Okay? And there's nothing illegal about that, right? Just go put the cash in there.
3 bank statements. They want to see.
They only want to see 3 bank statements. Most of them is 2, right? But it's really 3 bank statements. That's what they do. Now you got your cash. Okay. They say, okay, well, you got to go start whatever the replatting process, and that costs whatever Gil was going to tell you to do, right? He's the expert in that, right? I'm not the expert in that. I just tell you how to go do money. Okay, so you do that. Okay, $5,000 for this, $5,000 for that. Then you get your draw request, like, or you put your plumbing down, or whatever that is. That costs $10,000. You go tell them, bring the inspector out. They come out. They give you your money back. They give because that's your draw request. They give you $10,000. Now you replenish your line of credit, and then you just keep working it.
Okay.
Right.
And if you have a great builder too, one of the things a builder can contribute to you that's just mind-boggling is they can build it fast, and you're only paying interest for what 3 to 7, 8
get with a real
tops.
builder that know what they doing that might have some history building a whole lot of duplexes in Houston. You know,
and then there you are, Mike.
Yeah.
People are running these plays in real life. A guy just bought a retail duplex from Donovan just like 4 months ago, and he's smart, sharp young guy. He and his wife, great people. He's guess what? He's buying a land. He's under contract to buy land, highest best use. He's going to put like 3 to 7 doors on there, something like that. And so that's the start of it, man. When you start to really
and if you think I'm capping, right? We know a person that's on our private text that has built, I don't know where he's built, 8 or 9 now.
Absolutely.
All through the play I just explained. That's how I know it. Like I don't do that play.
Absolutely.
I know it because I know
Someone
exactly
that's
what
doing it.
he's done the last 14 years.
Yep.
And he came from a similar background. Well, he had, he ain't had no money. You know, so
Facts.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people get afraid of building a lot of times or doing the Burr method, but that's how that's where the equity lies, you know.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, it's great to, you know, sometimes you're going to have to go the retail route. I understand that. And it brings me back to the point we said earlier too. If you absolutely buy a retail duplex or a retail whatever it is, investment product, I think it's highly recommended that it's somewhat stabilized, right? It's tough to go into, let me buy this $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 duplex that's completely empty, no furniture, no tenants, no nothing, and then maybe even no gate. And I'm seeing a lot of people do this after they spend all this money. Now they got to buy a gate. Now they got to put furniture in there. Now they got to list it and lease it and hope for a tenant that can qualify for $2,200, $2,300. There's a lot of stuff they skipped and they just didn't realize. And so
absolutely.
that's where we and
get the monkey off your back early,
Yeah.
right?
Get
Like,
the monkey off your back so you can scale and really move.
or just like you spending a lot of money to close on this thing.
Yep.
And you want to minimize the amount of money you spend. Like, look, I said minimize the amount of money to get in. The real thing is minimize the amount of money it takes from you from point A of starting to cash flow.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Right?
Got
Meaning, whatever that distance is for you, and whatever type of play you're running, right? But you want to reduce that time that you bleeding out, paying bills that's not getting paid, ain't got no money coming in.
And that's real because you're burning through the reserves that helped you qualify.
Absolutely.
And once you get into this, you'll realize why you needed those reserves in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, vacancy is a real thing. Having to do certain repairs is a real thing. And Mike, people think it's capped, but literally in the last 3-4 months, we sold to 4 different buyers that purchased our duplexes that were fully furnished and were completely leased. You know what kind of difference that created for them?
Yeah.
You're giving people a turnkey. This dude is handing the game right over to
this is
people.
it. And
It's
it
a
gives
turnkey
you a
situation.
launch pad to be able to learn, you know, while you're in there. You know, there's a guy, he's like 25, 26 years old. He just bought one of them, the one in the front. His mom bought it, and they're doing this together, you know, and it's a cool thing because they're seeing, oh, now I see why it's so important that we did buy this one that already had tenants in place. Because, Mike, I'm not capping. I've taken calls from literally at least a dozen realtors over the last year that they had clients who bought duplexes. They couldn't find tenants in the first 2, 3, 4 months. They were panicking. One guy out of Florida, he bought a duplex, no tenants for the first 8, 9 months at all. On both sides. So what are we doing?
And let me get to the nitty gritty of that. I hype what he's offering is so huge because what's crazy is, like, let's keep it real. You're offering a product that's already rented out, meaning someone had to rent it out. Someone was managing that property. Someone was
has vetted tenants in there.
Has vetted tenants in there.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not just you out here. Because here's a whole another thing. If you buying something they ain't got no tenants in it, you got to learn how to be a landlord. Like, you have to learn how to go find good tenants and vet them out and things of that nature. So if some of that work has been done for you, and maybe it wasn't perfect, maybe that tenant and you and that tenant don't vibe over time. Guess what? Put the monkey off my back a little bit to where, you know, I can figure some things out. I find me a new tenant that's better than you. Maybe raise some rents, whatever that is. Move to short-term rental, long-term, whatever you want to do.
Right.
You have time because it's hard to think through strategy when you got financial pressure.
Okay.
Very hard.
Man, y'all, this is some really good game. And I think there's a level of like, this is just experience. You got to just get the experience.
Exactly.
So like some of the stuff you can't learn unless somebody
or hang with dudes that know.
So talk about the group. How do you get into the group? Tell me the details.
So it's called Wealth Masterminds Academy. It literally started from an old group me that I had for, I don't know, 15 years ago with me and my boys to literally just help each other out. Like, man, who you got? What's your plumber name? Oh, I need a whatever, right?
Sheetrock guy.
Sheetrock guy. Painter. I need a lawn.
I got a leak on a Saturday and you can hit this group and then the plumber's there like 6 hours later. That's huge in real estate.
Right. And then what's crazy about it is we're pulling resources. So Gilbert kind of know my only rule is I will give you whoever you need to give. Just say OJ referred you. Right. Because that helps my prices on the back end, right? Because I'm helping out business. That's whatever. So it started from that, and then COVID, and I just realized, like, oh, so many people need more help. Like, we want to spread the wealth. Me and Gilbert are cool because we are passionate about Black generational wealth. Like, that's not a joke for us. So, like, because we good, right? Like, we want that to occur. So basically what the group is called Wealth Masterminds Academy. You can follow Najee Barnes wherever, find me, blah, blah, blah. I get a lot of freebies. What it is a massive chat, a lot of real experience type of people no gatekeeping, less of the social, like half our people. I mean, look, we the only ones on. So I mean, it's only a couple of us on social media.
Even
But
on
that's the
social
thing
media.
people don't realize. There's
like-
a lot of people not on social
There's
media.
so
are
many
crushing
people
it.
not on
Yeah,
social
most
media.
our people don't
There's
really.
a lot of low key people really
Yeah.
killing it in real estate that nobody knows about.
Our
Nobody
people
knows
ain't
about
really on, ain't trying to be on social media. Matter of fact, we got the type of people that's like, no, I don't need everybody know because
you don't
real
want
rich
that.
dudes don't want people knowing what they got.
Yeah, people
You
with
know what I'm
money, they don't
saying?
want people knowing they have money.
So
That's
you know,
a fact.
but they use me, they use Gilbert, they use some of our other
Yeah.
people to like vet people in and
Yeah.
we'll whatever. So we have that. And then obviously we have a lot of master classes. I teach a lot of them, and then I bring in coaches like Gilbert, who may not even trying to be a coach.
I know.
Yeah,
I
you
will.
know, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will. I got pulled into it. So
I drag them into it. I
Yeah.
said, look, man, and I'll host a lot of classes, and I'll bring in experts on.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say, and everybody bring in experts, but these are people I do business with.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Like my insurance guy is my insurance guy.
Yeah.
like you know,
Yeah, and that's
and-
something I tell people about this podcast too. We have a similar dynamic of the guests on this show. A lot of the people that I bring on the show are people who I got referred to, I do business with. So I mean, even just within the content we're putting out and the content you guys put out, like people like, hey, I need certain people. Pay attention to who's working together, who's doing podcasts together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who do you see at lunch
And
together?
Mike, that's
Like,
one
yeah.
of the things I really respect about you as a professional. I never had a chance to tell you this, but I can tell you now. One of the cool things that you've kind of figured out in your young age is that you understand value exchange as a young person.
Yeah.
You don't only just call when you need something.
Yeah.
You also call when there's opportunity.
Right.
And that's what I appreciate about guys that
That's
think
what's
like
up.
you. And that's what the group Wealth Masterminds is
Yeah.
also about, right? So
Yeah.
you understand that. And value exchange leads to opportunities. Like Mike is so valuable and exchange his value with me. Mike's going to list one of my duplexes for sale.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, that's how business gets done in the real world.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
And just helping each other out. Like half the information that we share with each other, I mean, it's no transactional piece to it because it's like, okay, it's going to come back to me. Like he's definitely know a bunch of stuff that I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And guess what? I actually don't have to learn it. That's the I don't have to spend X amount of hours on YouTube because I know I got a tax guy. My tax guy's better than your tax guy.
Facts. Facts.
We not telling his name, but it's quick. We're not gonna say his name, but it's 100% certainty that he's better than your guy.
Yep.
And my insurance guy is 100% better than yours.
Yeah.
Because he is. Like there's no
Man, I
difference.
love it.
My
Yeah.
my lenders are better than yours.
Yeah.
And like why? Well, because they lend to big stuff.
Yeah.
Not just my stuff, but these other people that's in the group, they lend to big stuff. So they guess
Exactly.
what? Not trying to be funny. They know different types of deals.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, our wholesalers are better than your wholesalers. Why? Because we got buyers and they ain't fooling. You ain't messing with no wholesaler that's fraud.
Exactly. No.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
ain't
like
doing
like
it.
I ain't messing with no wholesaler that's fraud.
Yeah.
How do we know? Because we doing deals.
Yeah.
So that's the cool part. And it's like, okay, that's the kind of stuff we get that free. That's easy. Right? It's the higher level courses that cost stuff, you know, okay, how to buy a multifamily. How to make a boutique hotel. Well, I did that. It's across the street.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. That's what you want to be on. Like, all
Yeah.
right, we got that.
Exchange
who
your value.
makes-
Exchange
yeah,
your value.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
it's
I got
it's
you. Yeah.
we are. It's and again, I hate to get back to like you know people that look like us, but we behind the 8 ball.
We are.
There's a reason why you see other people buying the property in our neighborhood. There's a reason how 90% of my tenants have always said, I've never had a black landlord. Literally, 90% of my tenants always say this all the time.
That's
I've never had a black
crazy.
landlord.
That's
There's
crazy.
a reason because everyone else is making money off of us,
Yeah.
right? And they're doing it because they have community. Our good friend, I'll mention him, Kevin Rouse. You know,
Kevin, yeah.
good friend of
Shout out,
ours.
Kevin.
PhD, just got his PhD.
Congrats.
He teaches development at PV. I mentioned him because he was one of the people that really put me on. He's an OG of Houston, and I was gonna give him love because he's OG and he gave me information. And one of the things that always stuck with me is. And he does a lot of he sells a lot of large multifamily, you know, CC, you know,
Okay.
he's on that level, right?
Yeah.
So he's known for selling large multifamily in Houston. That's what he's known for. If you at that level, you know his name. Okay, well, it's cool. He always told me, he's like, look, I done sold deals to Indian people or Asian people that don't look whatever, and it'll be 20 people on the deal, and they never met each other. Why they doing that? Well, they shooting threes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they also know it's gonna work to the point where like they just want to get in. They just want to be a part of it. They understand the value of what's going on and what we're doing and equity and building wealth. You know, sister got a couple $100,000. They looking for millions.
Yeah. Man, that's so good. Well, guys, I mean, I really feel like this is one of the most valuable real estate conversations I've ever had personally. So thank y'all for coming on.
Appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always an opportunity. So appreciate you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. So people can get more information. We'll have y'all's links in the bio. So if you want to get connected with the group, remind me, what was the name again?
Wealth Masterminds Academy.
Wealth Masterminds Academy. Follow Houston Duplex. Dude, every single day, dude is putting out gems. So I mean, literally, if you ain't got the bread for the community, follow him on Instagram, YouTube.
We got a free option for the people. Like we giving out gas. We got a free option for the people. Just get in, bro.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, hey y'all. We'll see y'all on the next episode of the Blueprint Podcast. Peace.